kind of a rare case. I looked you guys up and immediately emailed you guys and talked to Vanetta within 24 hours. And we had something set up, and then I guess actually starting treatment, that took about a month to a month and a half to convince my wife that it was worth the cost. For me, I had already been sold within our first visit with Vanetta, because once again, I'm not your average person. I looked up a textbook and read a textbook about myofascial release, and then was able to bounce ideas off of Vanetta, and in our 1.5 to 2 hour session, she was able to convince me that this was worth it and this is where I could get that treatment. And so for me, it was literally within 24 hours, but for my wife, it took another 2 months after that. For her, obviously, it's a decent amount of money, and I guess for her, it was understanding that I was willing to put anything into having that hope that we talked about. So for me, it was like, I would pay any amount to get my body to be what I want it to be, and to not be in pain every single moment of every day. And so for her, I think it was just convincing her how bad it is, or it was, I guess, for me every single day. And once I chipped away at her long enough, she got worn down. Yeah, you definitely have to, at least my wife's pretty strong-willed, so I had to really pick my battles and stand up for this. And let's just say I ended up buying her a dog. So when I won one and she won one in that scenario. Well, so up to this point, I have done anything that you can imagine. The traditional routes, physical therapy, massage therapy, up to, acupuncture, needling, cupping therapy, I have a PhD in YouTube, physical therapy from I could give you off the top of my head 5 different specialists in physical therapy, muscle training, how to do different techniques at the gym for exercises that I was struggling with. I could, in like a honest way of saying it, I have sunk thousands of hours into trying to find a treatment that could give me a hope for a better future. And I think that's why I was able to pull the trigger so fast with you guys, is because I have tried anything I could think of. And up to this point, I hadn't heard anything about myofascial release. So this was just the next step for me in my journey, the next thing to try. And luckily, this seems to be the last step. This seems to be, for me in my case, what I needed in order to move towards a better future.
Nice. What about that first conversation with Vanetta helped confirm that you should pull that trigger?
She laid me on the table and did she touched a few different parts of my hip and my back, and just kind of talked through how tight I was and different areas of where my connective tissue was pulling. And for me, that was like a moment of vindication, because I, in my mind, have known that something is wrong, but with x-rays and MRIs and expensive, diagnostic treatment plans that I've received through chiropractors, doctors, specialists, osteopathic, I haven't gotten any. According to everything else, I'm 100% fine, structurally, physically, I should be okay. But then coming here and her telling me like, hey, this is not okay, like this is bad, which is funny that is what sold me, but finally having somebody tell me something's wrong here and this is what we can do to fix it was actually what convinced me to come here.
That
which seems
validation of
counterintuitive.
your experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which seems counterintuitive, but actually hearing that you're not okay was was actually what made me feel okay coming here. Yeah, that was honestly the most frustrating part of the process, trying to figure out what is wrong, because according to everything, I was normal, whatever normal is.
Yeah.
So for me, I had lower back issues. I broke my ankle when I played football, and I played all types of sports. So I've had knee pain, ankle issues, lower back pain. I think my lower back pain was the worst because as I'm studying to be a dental student, I've had to sit for so long, and that's been really bothering me. Shoulder pain and neck pain have definitely plagued my life for at least the last 13 years. And on a daily basis, pain level of probably 4 to a 5, so nothing crazy, but just a constant, consistent nagging through any activity, anything I do, just all the time. There's a constant level of pain that I'm aware of at any moment. And I don't know if you asked me how it's been after, but I feel like naturally that's just something I could talk about.
Go for it.
After beginning treatment, the first 6 to 7 sessions, there was definitely some improvement, but not as much as I wanted to see. And after about the 8th session, I think my body was actually able to relax on a whole, and the 9th, 10th until now session have been incredible. Every single session I leave feeling significantly better. And the great thing is that these aren't, for me personally, this isn't just a 3-day respite from the pain. This isn't just a momentary, fix. This seems to be a consistent, long-term difference in my body, which is what I've been looking for 15 years. And I think that, as we've talked about this, that is what has been able to give me the hope that I can be better, I can improve. It's not just a downhill struggle from here on out for the rest of my life. This is a battle that I now have tools to use to improve and to fight against and to actually feel better. And it's not something that I consistently have to come back to do, which is the greatest thing for me. Is I don't want to come back, no offense to you guys, but I don't want to have to come back the rest of my life. And so the great thing is I actually feel like you are giving me the tools to where I don't have to be a patient forever. And I can do it on my own, which is the greatest thing, is being able to self-diagnose, self-treat, because I've been given the experience to do that from you guys. I haven't been here in 2 weeks, and I was like, when Vanetta started working on me, it was just like, oh, I'm so happy to be back. Obviously, I want to operate at optimum capacity at all times.
You want that longevity, you need to.
Mm-hmm. And so for me, it's kind of, it's almost just I'm going to keep coming back until, I don't know if I'll ever get to my optimum. Hearing that, okay, like your normal is not good.
Mm-hmm.
And you can be at a different normal, or a different, whatever normal is, you can be at an optimum level that's better than this. Which that, it's basically what I've been looking for. Yeah. That's the real issue, is what would I push through rather than enjoy? Where I played sports, I work out every day, so every single day I would be adjusting my life, I guess is the way of putting it, to fit my body's pain level. And so at the gym, I wouldn't do certain exercises, or there are certain things that I avoid, or spend hours on YouTube trying to find the perfect technique. I I guess frustration was the biggest thing. Never being able to enjoy volleyball or soccer or football because knowing that during or after I'm going to feel terrible, and that in my mind or mindset at any point in time, if I do a wrong movement or a wrong step, I'm going to injure myself. And living with that, for me personally, was terrible. You know, it's something that I wouldn't want anybody to go through. And that's why I've dedicated so much time to figuring out how to be better, how to be my optimum self, as you've mentioned. And honestly, this is the first thing that I have found that's given me a hope that that's possible. Yeah, we were getting close. We were getting close to a point of giving up. Yeah, it was getting pretty rough. Realizing that physical therapy and massage therapy and acupuncture and cupping and Eastern medicines, whatever, anything that I was looking into, that it wasn't helping at all. After 5 to 10 years of that, it's depressing. It seriously is just soul crushing of realizing, at least I had come to the idea that I'm never going to get better. This is how I'm going to live the rest of my life. And that was a really depressing moment for me. Yeah, I got lucky. I mean, maybe I'm a very passionate person, so I pushed for a long time before I got to that moment, but I got lucky that I found you guys pretty soon after I hit that low. Honestly, I think the biggest thing, and we've hit it multiple times, but is just knowing that this isn't a downhill slope for the rest of my life. Knowing that every day I can wake up and actually be in a body that's better than the day before. You know, and mentally being able to accept that that's true was a huge hurdle for me. I remember in like the first 4 or 5 sessions with Vanetta that I kept asking her, like, are we sure that this is going to get better? And she kept laughing at me and saying, yes, you know, this will eventually get better. And I think now the biggest thing is that change of mindset, that my life isn't going to simply be one journey from pain to worse pain, but a journey of pain to, hey, we can fix that, and it can actually become better, and it can be a point where you don't even have pain anymore. And that, oh man, that has been incredible. Being able to play sports and sit, and even standing for me for any longer than 30 seconds would cause knee pain. I remember the other day I was watching a TV show, and it was 20 minutes long, and I stood the whole time, and I was so pumped that I didn't have any knee pain. I ran into my wife's room and was just like shouting at her about how incredible that was. So I guess optimism, hope, which is kind of a corny way of saying it, but I had given those up, you know, and so that was a big change for me. I think the thing for me personally that has stood out the most about you guys is your individual awareness and acute knowledge of me personally, which has been fascinating. But like, it's interesting that that's the thing, but for me personally, I've been to a lot of different doctors, a lot of different specialists, a lot of you name it. And to be able to talk to you and say, hey, in the last session we talked about this and we talked about this treatment, and for you to remember that and then actually bring up issues from previous sessions off the top of your head without looking at notes, That for me personally has meant a great deal, because it shows how dedicated you and Vanetta are to me as an individual, because obviously I'm putting in the work here, and so it means a lot that you guys put in the work as well for me. And that, honestly, I think has been one of the biggest differences between you guys and any of the other people that I have seen. Just realizing that you remember my issues, you remember what we've talked about, and you're able to bring up past histories of injuries and things like that at the drop of a hat has been incredible. Honestly, I don't know how you guys do it. I mean, if you're doing that for as many patients, or if it's just for me, it's really impressive. On top of that, obviously, the way I feel after each session, I remember with you, like 3 weeks ago, there was a session where literally in an hour, I went from having my head tilted forward to it being upright in a relaxed position, and that was incredible. It was something I've been trying to get my whole life, or at least it feels like my whole life, and we were able to do it in an hour, which, yeah, honestly, you guys have magic hands, so I love that. Yeah. I showed my wife that one.
That was fantastic.
And she, even just standing normal, she noticed a difference. Which that, I don't know, I mean, you probably know this, but for your spouse to notice a difference, that's a big difference. Because normally she doesn't notice anything. But for her to actually say something's different, that means some major change happened. I've talked to so many people at this point about this. I think for me personally, if I just am talking to my experience, the greatest thing is just change, is being able to realize that change is possible. For me and my family, we have a lot of issues. We're very active. We play a lot of sports. And it's interesting, but each one of my family members has gotten to that point we talked about where you've realized maybe this is it, that this is as good as it gets, and we're just going to keep going downhill, so just enjoy what you have now. I guess realizing that it's possible, that you really can change. Your body is capable of improving. And for me, in my experience, this is the only thing that has been able to make that change. So I guess give it a try. What do you have to lose? I mean, in my mindset, my body is worth any amount of money, and so what do you have to lose? I mean, it's just, once again, that's me personally, but my body's worth a paycheck, and if you're in any type of pain that I personally was in, or anything that bothers you daily, like, this is worth it. Like, the amount of money or cost of pain every single day, that adds up. That's something that we don't think about, but that's something that you deal with every single day. The amount of money that, for me personally, the joy that was robbed from everything that I love, from sports to sitting and studying, as much as I don't really love that, but doing that every day, and realizing, like, when I sit down, this is going to be a problem the entire time that I'm sitting here. You weigh out the cost of that, and that covers anything that this costs. Okay, so I think for getting it does take a decent amount of work on your part. I think the key here is realizing that obviously it took a lot for your body to get here, so it's going to take a decent amount for your body to change. So in addition to sessions with Michael and Vanetta, I obviously have been doing things at home, which is super important. and they will give you homework every single time. If not, ask for it, because for me that's been super important. And it's gotten to the point now where if I have back pain in between sessions, I know exactly what to do to treat it myself at home. And that has been a huge thing for me, because if I have to sit for 6 hours or 8 hours studying for one day for a test, I'm going to have that back pain. And so being able to treat it by myself and have those tools that they've given me at home to do that has been life-changing. So make sure you do this stuff at home. And then for how it feels now, I guess what that ease feels like is just freedom. You know, we've hit it over and over again. It's the freedom to be able to do what I want and realize that I know how to make it better after. You know, now I may still feel a little pain when I play volleyball on my shoulder, but I can then go home and in 20 minutes put my shoulder in a certain position or lay on one of those special balls that you guys have given me and treat it myself, which obviously is what I want to do into the future eventually, is be able to treat everything myself. And that freedom has been incredible. Yeah, it's been it's been a really, really cool journey so far up to this point.
I think it only gets better.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, you've given me that hope, which is great to be able to say, you know, actually now I can say I know it will be better, which is the difference, you know?